without any further ado, I'll introduce Simon. Professor Simon Pearson is Professor of Agri-Food Technology at the University of Lincoln and is founding director of the Lincoln Institute of Agri-Food Technology. Simon was awarded his PhD by the University of Reading in 1992 and was a lecturer in horticulture at Reading for a number of years before moving on to the cut flower sector for Marks and Spencer's, and then on to Winchester Growers, who are Europe's largest growers of cut flowers sold into UK supermarkets. Since his move to Lincoln, Simon's research focus has included a diverse range of agri-technology applications, including robotic systems, automation, energy control and management, food safety systems, and novel crop development. So I'll hand over to Simon to give his presentation. Thanks, Simon.
Thank you. Thank you, Neil. That's quite an intro, so thank you very much. I'm going to try and share my video now. Just a sec. Try and get the wonders of technology going. I hope that's now, everybody could see that. As Neil says, I've got quite a few, I've got a couple of videos here, so I hope they play okay. And I'm sure I'll get flagged if they're not. So, so thanks for the intro. So I'm going to talk about agri-technologies for pest control. It's going to be the objective of my research. And I thought I'd just show a quick intro to Lincoln, and this aerial show, a photograph, just shows where we work. So we work at Rhizome Estate, which is 5 miles north of Lincoln. It was the old agricultural college of the county of Lincolnshire. It's very farming, very famous farming institution. It's about sort of 400 hectares. We've got a fantastic setting. Right in the middle of the screen, you can see a prestigious building. That's the old Bishop of Lincoln's Palace, 1850. That's our headquarters. When we're out of this COVID pandemic, when we can get back. But we've got a full farm. It's a farming system with animals, cattle, sheep, arable crops, and then all of our robotics research that we do is actually based at Rhizome. So we've got a very beautiful, stunning location right in the middle of Lincolnshire agriculture. We've got quite a significant team now. I would say probably the largest agri-robotics research group in the EU by some way. Total pipeline at the moment, we've got about 65 PhDs funded through to the next 8 years. That's 50 from the EPSRC, Centre for Doctoral Training Agri-Forwards, which is the logo on the left. And if anybody wants to get involved in those PhDs, we're recruiting for the next 5 years, got 2 cohorts in, three more recruitment rounds to go. So we're looking for projects. They're all case studentships in agri-robotics. I run the Internet Food Things Network, which is an EPSLC network to do digital technology to connect food supply chains. We've also got this thing called Lincoln Agri-Robotics, which is a £6 million investment from Research England, which is 30 new staff in agri-robotics, plus a 5G test bed, which goes in March at Rhizome. And we've got a fully robotic fruit farm. So it's interesting chat, I think, today about lots of horticultural crops. So we've got a very strong specialism around horticulture, particularly strawberries and soft fruit. And that's underpinned by lots of UKRI investments, I think, in agri-robotics. And then we work very closely with University of Cambridge on the Ceres Fund, which is to try and accelerate those technologies to impact. We've got about 8 projects going on with Ceres at the moment. So quite a lot of activity going on at Rhizome. So what I was going to do is a really quick flash through technology evolution, just to give you a sense of direction and travel, where we've come from and where we're going to. And I just wanted really to try and do that to not only illustrate scale, scope, potential, but also pace. And just to give you a view of the pace that this technology is moving at the moment, it's absolutely phenomenal. So, so where we come from, I call this pray or spray. It's lovely picture of some Belgian nuns who busily spraying, hoeing. I think it's some sugar beet crops. And then I just think back of robotics. So I think back to history and really where is technology come from and where is it going to? And I wanted to use this to give you a view of how technology is changing, but where we're at in terms of robotics at the moment, in terms of power and where we're going to. So this picture on the left is a lovely picture of a 1 horsepower steerage hoe clearly for weeding. And that's, when is that? Sort of early 19th century, 1 horsepower. But look at the steerage hoe. Absolutely, you won't see any difference in that to a modern steerage hoe. It's just the power of the unit's different. And then we've moved from hoes, where you've got a person pushing on the left, to precision steerage hoe. I don't think the health and safety executive would be too chuffed with that picture today. But I think that picture was just taken after the war with probably some sort of Fordson type tractor. But still a steerage hoe, trying to remove weeds before the days of herbicides really kicked in as to try and kill weeds with hoes. Then we move through to pesticide revolution, which obviously everybody knows about, much more than I do here today. But I just highlighted a couple of milestones in herbicides. So 2,4-D through the Second World War, when that emerged, and post the Second World War. I think it's still used today, I think. Then you've got things like Roundup, which emerged, almost ubiquitous, but then under considerable pressure in terms of regulation. For whatever reason, I don't want to go into that, but it's under pressure for regulation. Whether that's right or wrong or not, that's another debate. And then all sorts of things. Well, are we at the end of the road for synthetic chemicals? I don't know. That put a question mark. I mean, that's for not me to discuss. That's for the audience, I think. But end of road question mark. Well, we're not at the end of the road. There's the pests and diseases and weeds which infiltrate, infect, and cause all sorts of problems for farmers and need to be controlled for food security. So we're not at the end of the road in looking at technologies to remove pests and diseases. So one of the things that's been discussed actively is robotics, and this is really what I want to give over the next sort of 15 minutes, really sort of just show you where pace of robotics is coming from. And I think it's fair to say that actually the UK, believe it or not, has a tremendous heritage and track record in agricultural robotics. And this tractor, this small device on the left, is designed by Tillett Haig at Silsoe Research Institute, and this is a picture from 1996 of a row following weeding robot. And you can see on the left hand side of that screen there's a camera on that small platform. And what that's doing, that camera is identifying where the row is and placing a steerage hoe between the rows. So it's a row following camera detection system in 2D. That was done in 1996. Even earlier than that, I don't know if it's widely known, but Silsoe also laid out the first patent for milking robots. So these robots now are used all over the world for milking, but they're actually designed, first patented in the UK at Silsoe Research Institute. So we've got tremendous heritage in some of these technologies, which we should be proud of. The Tillett Haig steerage hoe has gone on and it's been commercially adopted. There's been a number of projects through that, some of them funded by the AHDB, some of them funded by Innovate UK, and then lots of private sector funding. And that's led on to a fantastic company called Garford, who adopted the Tillett Haig technology, and that you can now buy very, very advanced, high power, camera guided steerage hoes for weeding. And this is a particularly nice one. What happens here is the hoe itself sort of wraps around the plant. So it's still the same Tillett Haig vision system, identifying the row and the plant and the crop plant. But here the steerage harrow is rotating around the lettuce, so you've got better control and better weeding of the space. So very, very advanced, very sophisticated, and that's a UK company now which is part ownership of a German company from the UK, which span out of that research at Silso back in 1996. And then since then, there's been emergence of a large number of companies in this space. The famous one is Blue River Technologies, which has a camera-guided system developed in California, Silicon Valley. Camera identifies the weed, and then there's a spot spraying system inside the robot control unit. And the spray unit's a bit like a dot matrix printer. So there's a row of nozzles inside the head. It identifies a weed and it goes and it sprays all around the crop plant. That business was bought by John Deere about 2 years ago for $300 million. So it's really interesting to see the rates of development, but there's big ag are starting to get very involved in these technologies. And again, a lot of that is because of the future of pesticides and the uncertainty on regulation, availability, and also environmental pressure, public concern to try and find new ways to kill classical crop pests and diseases. So lots going on. And it's not just on weeding where robots are coming in. We're also now working on use of some novel technology, light technology, UVC, to control things like powdery mildew in fruit crops and produce crops. So it's not just weeds, it's other pests and diseases which are coming in, and no doubt we'll be developing some technologies on insect pests, and we're already working on a number of projects where we're looking at machine learning image recognition for insect recognition in crops. So just to show you the pace of technology, it is phenomenal. I just want to show you what we've been doing. This is a digital twin of our robots working for fruit picking application. And through COVID, the way this technology develops now, it's all digital, it's all offline, it's all online. Got peoples all over Europe working on this thing, and all robot technologies now is developed through digital environment. And this just shows it's a real live CAD package showing the robot working. It embodies the cameras, the detectors, the code, the control systems, the whole lot. It's all done digitally before you even put a robot in the field. And this is work we did last year through COVID, when we stopped all lab work and we went to digital work. And that just shows the digital twin and the sort of things we're doing. And this is the actual robot working in real time. So this was in June last year. From March, we're in lockdown. We did it all digitally. In June, we came out with the first robot. And this is literally, it's the first time the robot came out of the garage in June this year to pick fruit. And you can see us developing a robot control system to pick a strawberry. The level of control and sophistication in this robot's very, very high. If you think you've got to pick a strawberry, it's really complex, but the actual really hard bit is the autonomy. How do you actually get that robot moving around a field and a farm on its own, navigate in a GPS denied environment, which is in a polytunnel? It's exceptionally difficult. So that's the challenge. And this just shows the thing working in real time in a farm. And this is picking a fruit about every 6 seconds. A human picker is about every 2 seconds, but we're making progress on speeding that up. So that just shows how we're working. It's all digital, it's all in digital twins, and this just shows fruit picking. I'll just pause for a second for the video to catch up for everybody in case we've got any stalls before we move on to the next video. Okay, and this just shows some of the work we're doing, some of the other work we're doing, and this is on soft-fruit robotics, and there's some disease control to show here. So we work on with Saga Robotics particularly, which is a startup company out of NMBU in Norway, but they've done the hardware, we've done most of the software for this robot. And we have it's a lightweight robot, about 150 kilos. It's got 8-hour battery life, 4.4 kilowatt motors, tremendous torque. It's a very powerful machine for a small robot. And we've got quite a fleet of these things. I think we've got about 15 of these now at Lincoln, either owned by us or owned by Saga. So very, very versatile robot platform, and you have one of them or you could have a fleet of them. The initial focus has been on autonomy for disease control, and that's for UVC treatment of disease, where you put a UV light on a robot. But to do that, you've got to have fantastic autonomy. And this just shows the autonomy stack working. Top frame is the robot world, and the bottom frame is the real world. And this just shows a UVC treatment being applied in a greenhouse on one of the robots, and this is work in Norway, but it's been an incredibly effective way to reduce powdery mildew. And then we have 3 of these robots with Saga in Kent this year, running up and down polytunnels, and they've been completely autonomous. Now you go into Kent in the middle of the night and see this and think you've got an alien landing. It's not. It's probably one of these robots, and we're now beta testing this. The autonomy is very secure. And now we're looking at the biology to try and make sure that we can really control those powdery mildew. If you can get an autonomous robot for disease control, you can also use it for logistics support, and you can use it to support human pickers. And this just shows how that's working. There's a robot here, there's a picker in the corner with an iPhone on the left. The idea here is that your picker is calling robots to actually remove fruit on their behalf. And this just shows it working. Top screen, you've got some pickers who are picking away fruit, and they're going to get down to the end of that row, and then they're going to call a robot, and it's going to do it completely autonomously. This just shows the level of control on autonomy. Here's a robot 1, robot 2, and it's going back. That was completely autonomous. So the autonomy is pretty good. So if you can do that, you could then do lots of your control treatments, and this just shows facilities at Rhizome, and it just shows the fruit farm, the robotic fruit farm we've got at Rhizome. If you can do picking, what you need for picking is really, really good vision systems for measuring monitoring, and this just shows the vision system that we're developing. This is for fruit detection, but you could think of this as pest and disease detection, and we are working on a number of pests and diseases for detection. This uses AI, machine learning, etc. to do that detection. And this just shows a fruit detector, so it's sizing, picking, and doing and giving the mass of each of these individual fruits in 3 dimensions. You can do that with pests. There's no doubt. And we're looking at the moment. We're looking at a number of applications where we're trying to detect things like aphids on using exactly the same algorithms. And this is a 3D scan of a fruit farm. So we can do it in 2D, and you can do it in 3D. And that's a blob detector. And this has been used for fruit forecasting. So if you can count the number of fruit, this is where we've gone back to individual fruits, and we're looking at them on a day-to-day basis and watching how they grow individually.
The first one will be fruit counting. What we're going to try and get you to do is count faster and more accurately than it can.
So how does it count the strawberries? What is it looking for?
Yeah, so we use vision. It's going to use this camera right there, looking at the row, and it's going to detect the position of the ripe and unripe strawberries.
This space tech strawberry counting race is on. It's time for me to pit my wits against this robotic rival. 3, 2, 1, blast off. The fruit count is on, and I'm giving it everything I've got.
So that was a fun piece of work we did. That was just a cut from BBC Country File that we did just before, it was 2019. What we wanted to do there was just really sort of demonstrate how confident we are about the technology. So we challenged Country File to beat our robots, and I'm pleased, and we did that on TV. So we took a bit of a risk, and I'm pleased to say that we beat the robots. So we're at that stage, and that challenge was fruit counting to prove that we could count better than the presenters. We did one on logistics and etc. So those technologies are now getting close to roll out. But back to where I was at the start of the thing, this is a bit of a circular loop on the discussion. When back in 1805 or whenever that patent on the right was done, that has a 1 horsepower steerage hoe. If you look at the power of our 4-valve robot, that's only effectively 2 horsepower. So it's 4.4 kilowatt motors. So it's effectively just 2 of those horses, and it can do it. Now, how do you scale that technology? So that is something we're now thinking of. And you can scale in 2 ways. You can scale by having a fleet of those machines, and we're looking at that. We've got some quite significant Innovate UK transforming food production projects looking at that for agricultural arable things of large fleets. That's another layer of software that needs to be developed to control those machines, and there's many advantages of having fleets over big heavy machines. The other way you scale is by just sticking with big tractors, and that's absolutely possible. And this one here is quite an interesting development. This is what's called a Agri-Food sprayer, and there's a new range of technologies which are coming forward onto the market, which are camera guided sprayers for spot spraying. And there's 2 ways that you can use those cameras for spot spraying. One is what's called green on brown imaging, or green on green imaging. The green on brown imaging is where you use the camera to identify green on a brown background in soil, and they work quite easy. That's relatively straightforward computer science, and that they're useful when you've got crops which haven't got full canopy. When you're getting a full canopy crop, you then got to identify green on green, so a weed within a crop. That's harder. So the image analysis and the machine learning is much more challenging. So what we're doing now is pivoting really around this green on green issue. We've got an army of people now who are working on machine learning image recognition, particularly on weeding, and the picture on the left shows a lettuce detector, which we're developing with Garfords, and this is showing that we can now detect the lettuce really very well, and we can detect the weeds very well. This is really quite well known. What that gives is all sorts of interesting challenges on data, and the data scale now is vast. So not only are you collecting vast amounts of data, but you've also got to process that data in real time, in milliseconds, not seconds, because these things move forward. And that's another challenge. So where do you put that? Where do you put that processing power? Do you put it on the machine, or do you put it off the machine and process it off the machine, where you've got effectively, you can go into the cloud and you've got infinite processing power? And that's where we're looking at the moment, and that will be around 5G. So we have a 5G test bed at Lincoln, and we're now looking to see how we can integrate 5G into some of these machineries. And we think the next breakthrough will be on how we solve that processing power to really make these machines enable scale, enable speed, and make these things very productive. So that's all happened at Lincoln, and we started in about 2016. There's 4 years research there, but we've gone from a very small research group to a very significant research group, and lots of exciting work going on to underpin the data-driven transformation of farming. So that's it. I'll hand back to Julian and Neil, if that's all right. Thank you.